Hey everybody, it's Susan with Susan Monroe Art, and today I'm going to show you a really great way to transfer a photo to your paper for drawing. It's called the grid method, and it works exactly the way it sounds. You draw a grid on your paper that you're going to be painting on, and then you'll draw a grid on your photograph you're working from, and you're going to transfer the photo to the paper by marking points on the grid. Might sound a little complex, but it's not. I learned this technique in high school and it's really great. I think a lot of beginner watercolor artists might get a little frustrated with their watercolors, and part of that could be because of drawing skills. So I think this does improve your drawing skills somewhat. It helps you mirror what's on the photo to what's on your paper. Of course, drawing from life is really awesome too, but that's not always feasible. At least for me, it's not always feasible. And there's some photos I really like to paint, photos from vacations and things like that. So anyway, this is going to be a super way for you to get those images from your photos onto your paper easily, and you can have a nice realistic looking watercolor if that's what you want. So before we go on to learning how to do that, I want to say thank you for watching my channel, and I want to ask you to please give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and click subscribe if you'd like to be notified whenever I put out a new video. I put them out every 1 or 2 weeks depending on how my life goes. And if you leave a comment, that's wonderful too. I try to always respond to my comments. You can ask a question, you can leave a suggestion for an upcoming video, whatever you'd like. But any type of interaction with one of my videos really helps them go up in the YouTube algorithm, and then more people will see them, and I get to share my love of watercolor with more people. So great. Thank you again for watching. And now let's go work on the grid method for getting your photo to your paper as a drawing. So this is the photo that I'm going to be transferring as a drawing to paper. I'm going to be doing another video on how to paint glass, and I thought while I'm transferring the drawing, I might as well show y'all how to do it. So I cropped it to an 8x10 size, and then I printed it out. So here's my printed copy of the photo. Now I'm going to take and measure it. You're going to need a ruler. I always use a pen on the photo. You're also going to need a pencil for your drawing. And watch, I'm going to measure out with my ruler. I know it's 8 inches long. I'm going to measure out 8 inches across the bottom. And I'm going to measure 8 inches across the top. Now I'm going to measure 10 inches on each side. I think it is easiest to work with photos that you know are going to be in nice, even measurements. Like you can divide it into half inches or inches rather than working with, every square has to be 5/8 of an inch or something. I mean, I've done that. It just is a little more tricky and easier to mess up. So if you can make your drawing into a more regular size, I think that's easiest. Okay, now I'm going to do my 10 inches on this side as well. There we go. Now that I have it all measured out, I'm going to draw my grid. So just by drawing lines across the photo. I don't usually use a pen that's quite this dark and heavy to do this, but I want to make sure y'all can see the lines. So I'm gonna do this. I want to make sure that I'm lined up and the lines are parallel. Otherwise, your drawing will look skewed if your lines go a little wonky. Okay, now I'm going to do it from top to bottom, finishing my grid. Every square on my grid will be 1 inch on each side. So here's my photograph, all marked out, 1-inch squares, 8 across, 10 up and down. I'm going to use this as my grid to transfer the drawing. Just so you know, some people also will add diagonal lines to help them, just have more lines going across, more reference points for their drawing. That's something you can do if you feel like you need to. Perhaps you've got a very complicated photograph that you want to transfer. You could do that. I find that this works pretty well for me, though, generally just using the square grid. All right, now to help me keep my place in the grid, because sometimes you can get a little bit lost with where you are, which square you're looking at on here, and which square you're drawing in your photo. I like to mark them by going verticals with the alphabet, A, B, C. I do it on both sides. And then I use numbers for the top and bottom. So this way, if I'm drawing a particular square, I know that I'm drawing, for example, square H3 on here. I can then find the corresponding square on my paper and make sure I'm working in the right place. Okay, so I've already drawn my grid on my paper. It's the exact same size as the grid on the photograph, an 8 by 10. I've added my numbers and my letters on one side. I need to add them to the other two sides. So I'm ready to transfer this now. I'm transferring 1 to 1, same size to same size. Now, if I wanted to transfer this photo and make it larger, all I would need to do would be to make larger squares on this one. So say I want this to be double the size. I want it to be 16 by 20. I have a larger piece of paper. I'll do here each square 1 inch. I would do each square on here 2 inches across. That way, when I draw, I'm going to be doubling the size of everything on here. So it's a great way to enlarge an image or reduce it if you want to do it that way. Like I said, I'm going 1 to 1 though. I hope you can see the lines on here. They're a little light. Some people do not like to draw directly on their painting surface, in my case, watercolor paper. I've never had a problem with it. I just erase it when I'm done and before I soak my watercolor paper. That being said, you can transfer your drawing to just another piece of regular paper and then use transfer paper underneath your drawing to transfer it to your art surface. That way you're just transferring the drawing and you won't have the grid lines on there. I just never take the time to do that. I'd rather just draw it once and it's easier for me. And like I said, I've never had a problem erasing the grid lines. So let's say I want to start in the top left corner here. Number 1 to J, 1J. I look, this line for that flower starts pretty much in the middle of this line. So I'll make my corresponding point over here, pretty much in the middle. Then I have 2 more points. Look, this is pretty much divided into thirds. Point, point. And then I've got another thing here in the corner. And I'm going to start looking at the shapes that these make. Look, it makes a shape and it comes down a little more than halfway. Let's see. All right. You see this shape is the same as that shape. Now I'm going to copy this shape. This is almost halfway over. This is almost halfway over. Starting my line at the same point in both squares. Now coming over. All right. Now I have this little section. I'm really focusing just on this square. I'm not worrying about the other squares very much yet. And I see this comes down, looks almost 3/4 of the way down. So I'm going to curve it 3/4 of the way down. All right. Now I could go on to any one of these squares that is touching my first square. I'm going to go on to square number 2J. See, I'm going to really trying to just draw what I see. I'm really looking at the negative space. That's the space in the background, to make sure it is the same shape on my drawing as it is in the photo. I think I've made this flower just a little wide, easy to correct. I can come back in and just make some easy corrections with my eraser. I think watercolor paper is generally tougher than people think it is. You don't want to get oil on it, whatever you do, but I erase on it. I have pencil marks on it all the time, and my drawings still end up turning out pretty well, I think. So don't be afraid to work with your paper. I'm going to keep going like this throughout the whole drawing, from square to square, drawing exactly what I see in each square in the corresponding square on the paper. All right, so let's get going. I think I'll go down now here to 1, 1. Oh, I1, sorry, not 1, 1. Now I'm into this square. It's going to join up with these 3. I'm going to draw this negative shape, this background shape. I'm not drawing the object. I think it's easier to draw the shapes you see around the objects than draw the objects themselves. I'm drawing that negative shape. So I'm looking, is this shape the same as this shape? Close, if not exact. Now I'm looking at this negative shape. See, I can see that this is a little off right here, so I think I made that stem a little low. I can just go in, move it around a little bit, and looking at these negative shapes really helped me see that that position was wrong. This negative shape on my paper was not going to be the same as this negative shape here. I didn't have enough room to put that shape in. Okay, so I think you can see where this is going now. I'm going to continue drawing and probably put some pretty music in this part of the video, and you can see how it continues to grow. Okay, so I think I am pretty much finished with my drawing. The next step will be for me to go in and with an eraser, I can use a kneaded eraser, probably be more gentle on the paper. I've just been using my pencil eraser, which has done okay, but a kneaded eraser you can make into a thin point like this, and then I can go in and erase my graph lines. Then I'll just do a little retouching where the lines of my drawing were when that's done. After I erase all my graph lines, I'll go back and I'll do comparison without the graph lines of my drawing, probably to a picture that doesn't have the graph on it, and just see what needs correcting, what just looks out of whack with my eyeball, forgetting the graph, what is going to make it into a better painting, and make those changes that I need. And then I think I will be ready to paint. Remember when you're doing this that your painting is not a photograph. Don't be too hard on yourself. Don't try to get every little thing in there. You want to get down the main landmarks. You want to get down the big pieces. You want to get down, like in this one, getting this word car down for the inscription, this reflective name on the jar. Wow, that was tough. I thought it was going to be really easy, but now it's done. No worries. I can use that as a landmark then for other things that I'm drawing in here. I'll go back and retouch, erase. Then I will soak my paper and get to painting on it. I want to let you know it took an hour for me to do this drawing. Since I sped it up, you would have no idea really, but it went faster than I thought it was going to go. All right, so anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you will like and subscribe to this. Like the video, subscribe to my channel, and yeah, click the bell icon when you want to be notified when I have more videos. Take care. Happy painting.